Welcome to the Cards Hub Postgame show brought to you by Hot Shots. St. Louis is home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com, and all content is provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours here on Sports Hub STL. I'm Stefan Caray. He's Joe Roderick. It has been a very, very fun start to the week in St. Louis. After taking 2 out of 3 in the last series, the Cardinals sweep the Pirates 5 out of 6 in the homestand and are back to 500 for the first time since April 17th. This is a team that looks completely different than the team that took the road trip to New York and Atlanta. This is a team that's pitching well. They're hitting in timely situations and took care of business over the last 3 days.
It's a team that looks different at home than they do on the road. It's as simple as that. And last Friday, I did Cards Hub 365 with Ryan Fagan, and we kind of talked about how, you'd learn a lot from these two series. And Rocky and I talked about it this morning, where this was the first time in the Mets series and the Pirates series that you were facing a team that you saw on the road and struggled on the road. How would you perform against that same team at home? And they went 5-1. They went 1-7, or what was it? 1-6 against the Mets and the Pirates in those series. The ones in the 4-game sweep in New York, then they go 1-2 in Pittsburgh. So you go from 1-6 on the road, and you turn that around. It's a complete 180. Now you go 5-1 at home. It's the team is going to have to spend tonight as they travel to DC, tomorrow on the off day, figuring out what it is that is making this team so effective at home and struggling on the road, because everything, all of the offensive numbers, all of the record, everything is just a complete flip from home to road. That this is where the coaching comes in. This is where all of the analytics and looking into just every routine and everything that goes into it. This is where that side of it comes in. That the players go out and play, but they're going to have, they have 36 hours now, or give or take, until before their next game, or even more than that, to figure out what is different.
Yeah, they certainly do. And again, this is a team that has a big chance to pick up some of those road wins against the Nationals, the Phillies, and the Royals. A few figures about the Pirates, though, as we say goodbye to them following this 3-game series. They've lost 10 of their last 11 games. They've scored a grand total of 22 runs in that stretch. That was the 8th time they've been shut out this season. They have now lost a season worst 8 straight games. So this is a team that is really, really struggling. And, only the Rockies, actually Pittsburgh has lost a season worst 7 straight games. The Rockies have lost 2 streaks of 8 games. White Sox have lost 8 games in a row. Angels have lost 7 games in a row. Braves have lost 7 games in a row in 2025. Not necessarily active streaks, but those are the longest streaks in baseball, and the Pirates have it about as bad as anyone can have it. The Cardinals took full advantage of that the last 3 days.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And you hate to see managers lose their jobs, but I would have to think that Derek Shelton has the hottest seat of anybody in all of baseball right now. The White Sox new head coach, you knew they were going to be bad. They did slightly more than the Cardinals did in the offseason, I guess. And they needed to actually do stuff in the offseason, and they didn't. The Rockies, you kind of knew were going to be bad. The Pirates had some high hopes going into this season. You have, when you have, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and Paul Skeens, one of the most exciting players in baseball, in O'Neal Cruz, and a lot of other, young high draft picks and guys coming up through the organization, they expected to have a shot at the wild card, if not the NL Central. And this first month and a half of their season has gone absolutely not according to plan.
Yeah, the majority of their offense is coming from O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds. They're not getting the power, of course, from Brian Hayes that they would certainly like from their third baseman. He's been excellent defensively, but it just points to the fact that regardless of how good your pitching is, and they still are missing some of their starters. Jared Jones is not active right now with the team. You have Bubba Chandler, who's making his way up the ranks. They're going to get better in the starting variety as well. But if you can pitch, yes, you might be able to win. But if you get no run support, I mean, 22 runs in their last 11 games, that's not something that you're going to win with. That's 2 runs a game. That's impossible to win with. So the Pirates have to address what they're going to do offensively moving forward. And the Cardinals, as long as they keep playing the way that they're playing, we're going to see them climb above 500. But I get the feeling now, and I've said this to you, I've said this to other people on this show, that now that the Cardinals are at 500, we can take a breath and look at this season in a completely different way. 3.5 back of first. The Cubs are struggling right now in their game, and a chance to maybe be 3 games out of first place. The Cardinals are within striking range if they take care of business on the road.
And they're in second place too. So if you, for those that haven't seen the rest of baseball today, the Cardinals have jumped the Reds and the Brewers. Brewers lost. Cardinals now in second place right now by tied, I guess, in second place, both 19-19 records. So that's and as I'm scrolling through here, Brewers lost today 9-1 in their game. Cubs losing right now too. So fresh start. Look at it as a fresh start right now with the Cardinals season, and it seems like you have that bullpen figured out. I mean, the starters have been phenomenal. The starting pitching has just been fantastic. Matthew Liberatore yesterday just went pitch for pitch with Paul Skeens. Sonny Gray went out today and did what an ace is supposed to do, and it finally looks like they have that bullpen lined up to where you know Leahy's that number 1 guy right now. You have Maton and Helsley at the end, and I'm really intrigued to see what the process looks like with Gordon Graceffo now over the next few weeks, and seeing what role he plays in the back end of that bullpen, and seeing what he's going to help the team with. So if that's all starting to come together, there's just a few bats we need to talk about, and then this is, again, you're starting to look at a possible contending team for the wild card.
Well, I really want to talk about the starting pitching here in a moment. But before that, we want to remind everybody viewing, make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube page. Participate in the YouTube chat. We want to hear your thoughts, your concerns, your comments. The comments should be nothing but positive over the last couple of games. But also, if you want to get involved in something really cool happening around St. Louis, well, the Sports Hub STL postgame shows are brought to you by Hot Shots, which is a great restaurant in town. They invite you to come out to their St. Charles location on Sunday, June 1st to celebrate their 35th anniversary. The fun starts at noon with a parking lot party featuring the Budweiser Clydesdales. Prizes will be given away all day. There's a dart tournament at noon, a bags tournament at 2, plus a chance to win Hot Shots tacos for a year. Congratulations to Hot Shots on 35 years. Hot Shots, St. Louis is home for all the games, all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com.
Stefan, I know I know you really, really watch what you eat. So I was going to ask how many of those tacos you think that you could put down in a taco eating contest, but I know you're going to punt on that. You're going to punt on that question. So I'm
not going to punt on that question. I look at it as more protein, more fuel. Now my dad, that answer, he probably wouldn't want me to share with the public. But you should go out to Hot Shots, the St. Charles location, and celebrate 35 amazing years in town. I'm Stefan Caray. He's Joe Roderick. This is the Cards Hub postgame show brought to you by, guess what, Hot Shots, and all content provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours for Sports Hub STL. You mentioned the starting pitching. It has been exceptional. Sonny Gray had a bad start his last time out before today. He came in and did what Sonny Gray does. 7 innings, gave up no runs, 7 shutout innings, and paved the way for a Cardinals win. That's 14 innings out of the starting role between Liberatore and Gray on the final 2 games of this series, allowing just 1 run. That's what you want to see from these guys. Sonny Gray is pitching like an ace. This team is really tough to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going through all of it, I mean, if we will find out how serious the team is going to be about contending for a wild card spot with some of the moves that I think we'll see over this next month or so. We saw McGreevy get called up over the weekend. We saw him pitch 5 1/3 on Sunday. wondering how they work him back in. Is there a scheduled start for him? Do they have a date on the calendar that they're looking at right now? And because we know that they're already doing that with Steven Matz. We know that they have the 6-man rotation in mind, and we will probably see him, I would think, at some point over the next 2 weeks start. Is there a date in mind where they're looking at Michael McGreevy and saying, hey, he's going to start this game for us? No matter what, as long as weather cooperates, Michael McGreevy is starting this game for the Cardinals, and then, we'll figure all the rest out then.
Yeah, I believe that there's a 15-day window after being sent back down that you can't reactivate him. So it would be the back end of the road trip, if not maybe the next homestand.
And that's where the weather does come into play too. If there is you could also, I guess, get around it with him being the 27th man of a doubleheader type thing. But then that would have to fit perfectly into where he's throwing in Memphis too. But the possibility is there, which that's one of I was surprised that they called him up when they did. I think weather played a factor in calling him up this past Saturday, thinking maybe we get in 2 or 3 innings and then he goes the rest of the way. And then they end up getting screwed over where they had to bang the game on Saturday and then they went to doubleheader. God, they would have probably loved to have known that game was going to get rained out and made him the 27th man in that second game. I would think. I know they haven't spoken about it at all, but I would think that would hopefully have been the plan for them so they wouldn't have to wait out this 15-day window.
You're thinking like a true GM, or in the Cardinals case, a president of baseball operations. The Cardinals win today 5-0. I mean, it was a stellar performance. But I want to start by talking about Victor Scott and what a threat he is when he gets on base. He scored 2 of the bigger runs in the game, including one off of an RBI single from Lars Nootbaar. He scored from first. It was a hit and run. Nootbaar put it into the gap in right center. Victor Scott never stopped running. Pop Warner waved him in the 3rd inning. Then he comes in to score again after a Mason Wynn double from first. He gets on first base. You've got a legitimate shot of scoring every time he's on the bag.
It was so I was at the game last night. I was out there last night, and late in the game, was at the 7th or 8th inning when he got on base. It was, the crowd that was there, all eyes were on Victor Scott at first, because you knew, okay, relief pitcher in here with a slower delivery home. It's a close game. He's taken second. And you just, I sat there just eyes on him. And it's not, I know you're probably the same way with that. There's not a whole lot of players in history to where they get on first base and you are locked in waiting for them to steal. And that's what Victor Scott does for you, that that he's that weapon there, and it changes everything in that game. And last night, the Nootbaar play, which I'm sure was probably explained better on TV than trying to figure out what happened initially at the ballpark for that. But trying to, take off and sprint 4 times in a row in that short of a time, he probably should have taken a pitch off there late and maybe gained, he gotten some of the air back in his lungs for that, because that 4 in a row is tough to do.
Well, he was taking more U-turns than a confused driver, that's for sure. He had to go back and forth from second to first, and it was the first time he was thrown out all year, debatably. So Victor Scott has been such an X factor for this team. Another player that had a big moment was Jordan Walker late in the game. Bottom of the 8th, runners on second and third, 2 outs, hits one up the middle, right in between shortstop and second baseman for the Pirates, and brings home 2 huge insurance runs. They didn't really matter all that much, considering that Chris Roycroft came in and preserved the shutout. But for his confidence to get that hit and start to creep closer to the Mendoza line, I think that will pay dividends for the Cardinals in the next coming games, at least for Walker.
Yeah, it's been, whenever you have a situation where it's put out in the press too about your current situation and what you're working on. Again, we've been down this road before with Jordan Walker about sending him down for more work. It seems like they are doing everything possible to not send him down and keep him here, to where it was, all right, they're putting him in the simulator and they just want him to track pitches. And they told him after he sat on Monday, you're starting the next 2. Like those next 2 are yours. I was listening. I wasn't able to watch when he got the hit there in the 8th. But John and Ricky were saying that you could just tell how excited he was, how happy, like a huge weight lifted off of him when that ball got through and he was standing at first base after driving in those 2 runs.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially in the middle of the season. You're 38 games in, 19-19. Your average is not going to, explode when you go and you get a hit at 192 or wherever he was at the final at bat for him of the game. However, remember, Mason Wynn started the year 0 for 22. Wilson Contreras started the year right around there, 0 for 22. And those two guys are hitting around 250. Mason Wynn had a multi-hit game today, so he's probably closer to 270 at this point in time. And I know that people don't really consider batting average an important stat anymore. I do. I'm not a full believer in that OPS is something that we need to go and praise above all other things. But for a guy like Walker, you get 5-6 hits in a series, you're right back where you want to be. And I think he's going to get there. I think over time he's going to get there. And like you said a few shows ago, Joe, he's got to lay off that slider. But before we get to the next point, it was a period of mourning for St. Louisans after the Blues dropped that Game 7. But now it means it is baseball season, especially after the Cardinals take 5 out of 6 on the last homestand. Baseball season is officially underway, and it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Pick 6 is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. You're going to want to download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to the Cards Hub Postgame Show. Stefan Caray, Joe Roderick. It was a very fun afternoon at Busch Stadium, and it turned out to be a beautiful day at the ballpark for the Cardinals, for the fans in attendance. But now you set your sights toward the Nationals, the Washington Nationals, who are in a very tough division, the National League East. But they have a lot of young, exciting players and are kind of in a similar position to the Cardinals. If you really look at how the team's constructed, they have young outfielders that they're really excited about. Dylan Cruz, James Wood, that have been certainly players that they are going to build their franchise around, but haven't quite figured it out within their division. The Cardinals, yes, are at 500, but the Nationals are going to be a thorn in your side if you let them this weekend.
Yeah, it's you get a chance to see 2 of the best shortstops and young shortstops in all of baseball go head-to-head in Mason Wynn, C.J. Abrams. James Wood is a player, again, he's a player very similar to Jordan Walker, young player, huge, big guy that hits the ball really, really hard. You look at some of the top exit velos from baseball this year. James Wood is up there on top of that list. So it's a team that probably, a couple years away from where they want to be, having a better season than I think they would have thought they would have at this point. But again, we'll see. Cardinals on paper should be a better team than the Nationals. We'll see if those road woes continue, and not great when you're a bad road team and you have a 3-city series on the horizon.
Well, they started to play a little bit better on the road in Cincinnati, so hopefully they have had some positive karma, and they're going to turn things around on this road trip. Friday is going to feature Eric Fetty on the mound for the Cardinals against Mitchell Parker, the left-hander for the Nationals. Saturday, Andre Palante versus the veteran Trevor Williams. And Miles Michaelis against, I guess you could argue, the ace of the Nationals, Mackenzie Gore. Remember Gore, James Wood, Abrams, Robert Hassel, who's in the minor leagues right now for the Nationals, all came over in that Juan Soto trade. So they have virtually rebuilt their team off of dishing Juan Soto to the Padres, and they have been major contributors to the Nationals already in their young careers.
Yeah, that trade right now, and you look back and you see how what the Padres, they didn't win with Soto. They ended up flipping him again to the Yankees after that. So it's a case of, who ended up winning that trade? Who do you look at as winning that trade? And the Nationals got back so many players for him that we're now starting to see contribute. So the Padres still really good. If the Nationals can get into the playoffs and make a nice run, I don't foresee that happening in the NL East anytime soon. But that trade, I think, worked out best for them in putting together the team that they have right now. So I look at this series as, again, it's one of those, if you're red hot the way you are, you need to go in there and start winning road series if you want to have people take you serious.
Well, you cannot play above 500 ball if you're going to be really bad on the road and good at home. I mean, you can play probably right around 500 with how good the Cardinals have been at home. I believe that was their 15th home win of the season, which is great for St. Louis fans that want to catch a game at Busch Stadium. Might as well go fill the stadium because they've got a good chance of winning regardless of who they are playing at, as my father and Brian Shapiro, one of the producers of the FanDuel Sports broadcasts, would say, the crown jewel of the National League, which is Busch Stadium. But I digress from that point. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this team battles over the next few games against the Nationals, the Phillies, and the Royals. If they can find a way to get out above 500 and have a winning road trip, I think that would be very good for them and point toward maybe this team being a little bit better than we thought 2 weeks ago.
Have you been to that stadium? Have you been to Nationals ballpark?
I have not. That's the only one in the National League East that I haven't been to.
I have not been either. So that's one that I have not had a chance to get out there and see yet.
That's certainly a ballpark that's nestled right downtown. It is a big ballpark. I remember when it was first built. It felt like in this new era of ballparks being rebuilt or rebranded, Nationals Park was kind of the first one of my memory. And then the dominoes started to fall for other teams, whether it was in the National League East or outside of it. Nationals Park was kind of one of those state-of-the-art ballparks. It's dated now at this point, about 15 years old, probably a little bit older than that. So we'll see how the Cardinals fare at that ballpark, and hopefully we'll take the first series and regroup and try and beat the Phillies next. Joe, do you have any final thoughts before we send this one away?
No, like I said, we'll see. This past weekend, this past week of games was a huge test that the Cardinals passed, and now looking forward, again, it's the same situation, just a different setting, I guess. Now that they're not in the not at Busch Stadium, so we will learn a lot about. We learned a lot about this team this past week, and seeing just how good they are at home. Now we'll learn a lot about them on the road and see if they have things figured out.
We certainly will. Well, for everybody here at Sports Hub STL, for Joe Roderick, I'm Stefan Caray. This has been the Cards Hub Postgame Show, brought to you by Hot Shots. All content provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. The Cardinals hit the road to the nation's capital, trying to improve yet again on a 5 out of 6 homestand and trying to do that on the road. So we'll find out what they do starting on Friday, and we'll have all the coverage for you right here on Sports Hub STL.